Real quick, just stepping in to remind everyone that I have a movie channel. Check out my movie channel if you want. It's Jackson Kruger Movies. The link is in the description below, so if you're tired of just hearing my bad sports takes and want to also hear some bad movie takes, make sure you check that out. Again, link is in the description below. Throughout the regular season, we love to talk about the positives, the good things that happen throughout the course of a game, but in this video, let's do the opposite. These are the plays you'd love to have back. Whether it's a dropped pass, a bad throw, a dumb decision, or bad coaching, let's get into it all. These are the top 10 worst plays of the 2023 season. Starting off with number 10, this was really a game that, just in general, I'm sure the Dallas Cowboys would love to have back, but this play in particular was a tough one with, it's 20-0 already, 2 minutes left in the half. Prescott takes a snap, doesn't realize the safety dropped, throws too quickly, and ends up throwing a pick six right here. This game was an entire disaster by Dallas, but certainly this play was kind of the cherry on top of the disaster Sunday. Also wildcard weekend and also a disaster. Pausing it right here, this play at this point doesn't seem that bad. I mean, it's, okay, you gave up a 6-yard completion or so. But watch this not great tackle by James Bradberry and also not great tackling down the field. The tackling was a disaster by Philadelphia. That game was a disaster, as it seemed like they didn't even really want to win. Another one of those cherry on top. But both of those plays were probably not going to be the difference maker. There were some that, while still might not have been a difference maker, could have been. Like, let's go here, and I'll pause it right away just to set up the situation for Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers are in a difficult situation, no doubt about it. Down 8 points. There is 40 seconds left on the clock, and the Lions would be in position where they could try a very long field goal if they wanted to from here. The Detroit Lions elect to kneel down early so they don't run out the clock, and Tampa Bay doesn't notice this. Todd Bowles didn't realize that the Lions weren't running out the full 40 seconds every kneel down, and he never called that last time out. They could have had a sliver of hope. Would the Buccaneers have come back and won the game had he called that timeout? Almost certainly no, but the fact that he basically didn't even give them a chance to is certainly bad coaching and worthy of the number 8 spot on this list. Number 7, let's go to San Francisco and talk about Jordan Love, who had a lot of highlights this season, made a lot of best plays list, but this was certainly not one of them. First, scrambling outside the pocket. Hey, this is something Jordan Love has done a great job of so far early on in his career, making things happen. This time, though, he throws off balance, and that's just not a throw he should have made, as if it was not intercepted by Dre Greenlaw, it seems like the next guy who had the best shot at it was Fred Warner. While not the worst interception you'll see, although certainly not a good one, the situation is what makes it worse, as Green Bay was just down 3 points. They had multiple timeouts, had a real chance to come back and at least force overtime, but weren't able to do so because of this play. Let's stay in San Francisco, but talk about a different team now. Let's go to the Detroit Lions, as really they have a few that we're going to talk about here, so we're going to kind of clump them all together here for our number 6 spot. Everyone's going to talk about this situation, the 4th down and 2, Dan Campbell gamble here, but I feel like people forget how this worked. If you remember, when Goff takes a snap, he actually makes a good throw, and this should have been a completion. This play worked. It was a dropped pass. So, yes, the 4th down and 2, we can certainly sit here and debate whether or not that was the correct decision or incorrect decision. In my opinion, reasonable minds can differ. What certainly wasn't good was dropping the pass on 4th down and 2 would have really helped the Lions out there. Not to mention a key fumble here in a big spot. Definitely can't make that fumble, which really helped out the 49ers. And to me, I kind of think the biggest blunder that Dan Campbell made was this spot. To set the stage, there is a little over a minute left for the Detroit Lions here, and it's a 3rd down and goal situation. So you're in trouble, down 10 points this late in the game, but you have all 3 timeouts, and that changes things a little bit. If you can score a touchdown right here, you don't even need to kick it for an onside kick if you want. You could kick it deep, try to get a 3 and out, and then have one more drive with, 30, 40 seconds left, no timeouts, needing a field goal. Not likely, but far from impossible. Instead, Dan Campbell chooses to run the football here, and not just that, but once they don't get it, he then calls a timeout, which was just a blunder. And, you can say Dan Campbell doesn't call the play calls, but whoever did it, Ben Johnson, whoever you want to put the blame on, that was a mistake. A lot of mistakes towards the end of that comeback for the Lions, which is why I clumped them all together. That is number 6 on the list. And number 5, we're going with another sequence. This one all by one player, though, Zay Flowers, who got called for this taunting, which, I'll be honest, it probably shouldn't have been called. I mean, Travis Kelce did that like 3 times already in this game. Like, it was a weak call, but still, hey, don't give the refs a reason to throw the flag. There's still plenty of reasons to sit here and say that that's not what Flowers should have done. But to make matters worse, he would then immediately after fumble on the goal line. The Chiefs recovered, and that was a huge spot in the game. Fourth quarter, down 10 points. That's, a real important score that the Ravens needed right there. To make matters worse, he punched the bench and got a bloody hand after that. So, yeah, real rough sequence for Zay Flowers in the game that the Ravens ultimately lost. That's definitely good enough for the number 5 spot on this list. And number 4, we're sticking with this and going with Lamar Jackson throwing into double coverage in this very same game, in the same quarter. This is like 7 minutes later in terms of game time. Lamar Jackson did this. They needed a score. It was just a throw he did not have to make whatsoever. At least with some of the fumbles that I've talked about earlier, you could argue, well, it's a fumble. It's a good defensive play. And I'm not saying this wasn't a good defensive play, but it was just a bad decision and really was the dagger, in a sense, for the Baltimore Ravens. Number 3, of course, this one has to be on there, the missed field goal attempt to tie the game. Have to say, that wind, every time I watch this, it really seems like the wind was the real MVP of this play. It looked like it was going in until the wind takes the ball away. Also worth mentioning, Chiefs would have had plenty of time, 1:47, 2 timeouts, just needing a field goal to win. Knowing what we know about Mahomes, they probably still win. But hey, if you're Buffalo, you'd have loved to have the opportunity to try and make something happen. Weren't quite able to do so. Number 2 on this list is actually a regular season play, which might seem crazy, but the stakes were still very high in this game, as this was essentially a playoff game before the playoffs. The winner was going to clinch a playoff berth. The loser would be eliminated, as you see on the bar on the bottom of your screen. And you have to talk about just this situation. They're at the 15-yard line, their opponent's 15-yard line, down 6 points, but you get 1 yard, you survive the 4th down situation, and honestly probably win this football game. This one play probably decides if you win or lose, and this play did not work out. Well, it did work out. You got the halfback open, but then they're not able to make the catch. If you want to say it's a bad throw or if you want to say it's a dropped pass, either way, it was an opportunity wasted by the Colts, as that probably cost them a playoff berth. And, who knows? The Texans ended up beating the Browns in the playoffs. Maybe the Colts win a playoff game as well. They also would have played Baltimore, who they beat in the regular season. So, while I still don't think they would have gone on a deep run, it could have been possible, and they would have loved to have that opportunity. But because of this play, they weren't able to have it. But number 1, how could it not be this play? The muffed punt late in the Super Bowl. It's 2.5 minutes left in the third quarter. The Chiefs have just scored 6 points up until this point, but once they get this, the Chiefs start rolling. Kansas City would then score immediately after. They would score a touchdown to take the lead, and on a dime, this Super Bowl went from really all 49ers defense to, oh my God, the 49ers are in trouble. It was an incredible end of the game, but you gotta just wonder how this game changes if they do not muff that punt. So yeah, that's my list. Those are my, I'll say 10, but it was more than 10 plays actually, that are the worst 10 plays of the 2023 season. Let me know in the comments below. What do you disagree with? Which play did I not mention that should have made the list? Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.